For his whole career, excellent mechanics were beyond evidence. They were a consistent marvel for pundits. But hold up, what are mechanics? Usually, we tend to think about it in terms of movement and aim, but it goes a lot deeper. Simply put, aim and movement skill can be developed to a high level, but without game knowledge and game sense, you wouldn't know where to move and when, and you wouldn't know where to aim and when. So, the full expression of mechanics lives and dies by your ability to integrate those executional skills with your theory and experience, or game knowledge and game sense. In this clip, NiKo uses movement to manage multiple fights at once and to set himself up to isolate one opponent at a time.
So SK, they shouldn't be leaving this one to any chance. They need a dispatch of NiKo. Slowly but surely, NiKo tries to find the openings, tries to find those 1v1s, and that's what he needs to be doing right now. Putting a lot of pressure on FaZe. He knows there's a player behind him, but if he gets rid of the player on the side, he might have just done enough. The time is running out. NiKo!
How is he doing this?
Oh my goodness! A 4v1 for NiKo!
After the first kill, he understands that the only player who can fully swing him is the player from jungle. So he baits and uses the movement to set up that fight. The fight doesn't happen initially, but he keeps baiting until it does. Then he uses movement to assess which player to isolate next. Then between the site and the cat player, he realizes the cat player is the next best fight for him as the site player can't trade that fight. NiKo picks the perfect timing to change position and isolate the cat player. NiKo's game knowledge tells him he must isolate fights, and his game sense directs his mechanics by telling him the timings he has to work with, which dictates his movement choices and his pre-aim. EliGE does a great job describing the intertwined nature of mechanics in this clip.
Well, the thing about CS mechanics is that it's not just about aim, and it's not just about crosshair placement. Well, actually no, crosshair placement is a big part of it, but I actually couple game sense and movement and like crosshair placement into mechanics and like aim, and basically saying that like you need a lot more than just like aim, and that doesn't mean just like you have to be smart. For you to actually utilize your aim, you have to have a good strafe with your peek. You have to visualize where the guy is. If you don't visualize where the guy you're about to peek is actually going to be, you don't have any visualization going on before you make that peek, and you do a good strafe, your crosshair placement's in the right spot, then you're just not gonna be ready enough to kill that guy.
Aim trainer mains or experts are often critiqued. Critics stating that because they aren't pro in an esports game, this is evidence that aim trainers don't work. This argument is baseless, as we now understand aim is just one piece of a much larger machine. It's a mistake to reduce mechanics to aim skill alone. Let's take a look at this next clip of NiKo. See what you notice, and we'll break it down afterwards.
I think it's Rodeo Romeo, guys.
Yeah, I think he's right.
He's right. B rush.
Not a C. Round over, half done. Orbs already on the floor. And four big plan imminent. Unless NiKo's dig hits more than that. He's got two. Oh! Let's go! NiKo! That is abhorrent! 4 with the deagle, make it 5 and ace from NiKo! That is insult to injury. G2 9 at the half.
The first magical moment is the smoke popping on NiKo's right side. They are unlikely to push through that, and this tells NiKo to put his full focus on the left side. To give himself control of the timing of the fight, NiKo tucks into a position that forces the opponent to have a full wide swing to kill NiKo. Reading the timing, NiKo then does a small movement in counter-strafe to his left, effectively creating an off angle as the opponent will be aiming deeper, which gets NiKo the kill. For the second player, NiKo jiggles. He has to keep his exposure as limited as possible because there are more opponents. The third kill shows NiKo slicing the pie, and as his opponent peeks in between his angle change, NiKo reacts and uses a counter-strafe and a micro correction to land a shot. The kill of the player coming out of the smoke is more anticipation using game sense, understanding that the player will have to push the smoke, and by understanding the most desired pathing, NiKo's aim is ready in the perfect spot again. A small micro correction is all that's needed to finish the job. Let's run this footage of NiKo playing CS2 DM and see how he practices. Movement in game is more optimized because you have a great degree of information to know where your opponent will come from, allowing you to optimize for that. In DM, you want to practice these habits, but you're without any information. Players can be anywhere at any time, so you have to set yourself up, simulating an in-game situation with pre-aim and movement. So in this environment, we're seeing more of NiKo's raw mechanical skills, the intersection of aim, movement, and game knowledge. We can notice great pre-aim, crosshair placement, and so on. But what's really highlighted here is his mouse control skill, incredible precision, control, and speed. Looking at this one segment slowed down, we can see clean lines between each point of pre-aim and super high quality micro corrections. Something that we talk about a lot for micro correction skill is the softness of your landing. NiKo's crosshair glides effortlessly for precision after big movements, showing great command of tension management. This is also reflected in the tracking skills. Tracking skill is underrated amongst TAC FPS players, but it's extremely helpful to stabilize your aim and be controlled when making adjustments to moving targets. We can see in a bunch of NiKo's kills that his tracking is just amazing as his flicking skills. So, if you're someone looking to polish your aim, this is some of the quality you're trying to get to with your aim trainer or in-game training tools. Again, the reason a lot of players don't see the transfer between aim trainers and the game as much is because it takes time to build the new skills into your mechanics. Not only do you have to develop the raw skills, you have to practice applying them. This is why understanding how to balance your aim trainer training is really important. You don't need to be spending a lot of time using them unless you are an aim trainer main. Something that's particularly important, and we haven't dialed into just yet, is the concept of pre-aim. NiKo has stated that his expert pre-aim comes via in-game knowledge, that he picks up whilst playing maps in a competitive setting. At his level, this makes a lot of sense. He is playing elite players on a routine basis and needs to be calibrated to how they are playing angles. When he dies from various angles and gets more experience as to how they are played, he then effectively integrates that experience into better pre-aim practices. This speaks to a greater point. To have good mechanics, you have to take your learning experiences seriously and recognize the adjustments and then focus on integrating them. And very often, a death can indicate that there's something that you could have done differently. As we play, we have an enormous amount of learning opportunities, too many to integrate all at once. So something that's effective is to ensure that we at least pick the most salient issues and focus on correcting a few at a time. Wisdom that NiKo lives by.
The most important thing to avoid when it comes to practice is practicing without a goal. I think you should never waste your time just to play the game. Obviously, sometimes you can if you have a lot of free time, but for me, it has always been that way that if I play anything, it's with a goal to improve myself. So whether if it's a face it, you try to improve yourself. Whether it's a DM, you try to improve yourself. Make sure that your communication is always getting better. Do not get frustrated in the game. Yeah, don't look at me, but you know, it's for better of you. Try to not tilt too much. Yeah, just don't practice without a goal. I think that's the most important thing. Don't waste your time and always try to focus on small things to improve on. I think that will get you results way faster.
NiKo's mechanics are a display of high-level aim and movement integrated with high-level game knowledge and game sense, producing incredible reads, pre-aim, crosshair placement, and adaptability. This is the work of years of relentless improvement, making the best use of every practice day. Again, we can see how important time in the game truly is to improve our mechanics, as game knowledge and game sense are so essential. Tools like aim trainers and refrag didn't exist when NiKo was first developing, so for any new players, you certainly have an edge to get better, faster, with tools like these and by standing on the shoulders of giants like NiKo. If you loved this video, check out my Patreon for behind-the-scenes content, performance tips, extended podcasts, and more. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.